But as I know, the true vision would come to pass regardless, and then I could fully understand it. 2019 finished with Biden bragging how he got the Ukraine prosecutor fired. I watched patiently. 2020 started. He was still there. Easter, and he's still riding high. By summer, the key team, that's that back-channel military intelligence group that communicates to patriots. I call them the key team because there's some words and letters of the alphabet that we cannot say they are verboten. So in summer, the key team even suggested, watch, Biden will later be replaced by a woman. Even this suggested that by the time the Democrats got to their choosing their candidate, that they would replace Biden. But instead, it didn't happen that way. He was chosen and nominated as the Democrat nominee, and of course, he did make it to the election. It seems the Democrats did a little change in tactics, dragged it out further. However, we know that Biden himself has told us at least 2 or 3 times in one of his supposed gaffes, he's called Kamala Harris President Kamala Harris. And he also stated, well, if we have a disagreement, I won't worry about it. I'll just develop some disease and leave. Intimating that the whole plan was really to have her as president. So finally, in October of 2020, President Trump tweeted out, Biden is a criminal. Also, Biden crime family. This was boldly in public. And after Hunter Biden's laptop exposed the China payments, and after Ukraine found him guilty of fraud. So at this time, I now begin to see the prophecy in the vision developing. Because he has been, even though we patriots know the kinds of shenanigans that he has been involved in, and his son, it has to have the backing of proof and be verified. Once our president has come out, President Trump, and made these statements, we know it's verified. It's fact. So now I see the vision developing. The criminal being, a picture of him with the lines on the side as if he was arrested or incarcerated. Then comes the election. But before we go there, I'd like to take a little side trip. I promise we'll get back. All right. On this channel, we'll deal with current events and politics. But we also like to discuss prophecy, its origins, and true prophecy always comes from God. There are many definitions. One would be, it's God speaking to his people after public revelation has closed with the last book of the Bible. We discuss things like the cause and the reason it is given. Not only is the prophecy interesting, but the reason it was given to a certain person is also very interesting. If we look at the seer, that's the one to whom the prophecy was given, we often find a story as interesting as the prophecy itself. Why would I be given this image with words about Biden? I'm not related to any politician nor connected to government in any way. Well, my great uncle was a very unusual character. He traveled all the time and was somewhat estranged from the rest of the family due to his wife's hostility. He was only able to visit his brother, my grandfather, every so many years. I met him 3 or 4 times. He told so many fascinating stories. One time he told me a little bit about his son, Bob. Said he lived in California, was a lawyer. They made him a judge, and he moves in very, very high circles. He's a big man. I was a teenager and I thought, wow, we never had a judge in the family before. That's kind of cool. Well, 20 or 25 years passed, and I never paid any attention to politics. But one day, I heard my grandpa's family name come over the radio. The announcer said a man named Robert Bork from California had been nominated by Ronald Reagan to the Supreme Court. I found a newspaper as quick as I could, saw the picture, and knew that was my grandpa's nephew. Oh my, I thought, Grandpa would be so proud. In the neighborhood I grew up with, there was a family, the Cortez family. If you saw one and put all the others in a group of 50 people, you could pick out all the others, and there were 14 siblings in all. As my mother would say, if you saw one Cortez, you've seen them all. They had a very distinct family resemblance. Bork men had unusual looks. Not unattractive, but nobody was up for winning any beauty contests either. Abraham Lincoln was kind of like that. Not really handsome, but just prominent bony features made him very unusual and distinctive. So too the Bork men. So when I saw the picture, I knew that was a Bork, and that was the nephew of my grandfather. But he never got confirmed, you see, because of 2 men. One, Senator Ted Kennedy from Massachusetts, and the other, Senator Joe Biden from Delaware. Instead of being able to say, gee, my grandfather's nephew is on the Supreme Court, the only thing we got to say was that the family name was, well, immortalized in the Dictionary of American Slang as a new verb, to be borked. To have your character and reputation destroyed by a political opponent. We were cheated, but so was everyone else. Because Robert Bork was a legal mental giant who would have led the charge to overturn Roe versus Wade. All the babies that never got born, we all lost. Neighbors, friends, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, husbands, and wives. Not to mention that the world lost out on all their contributions. Inventions, music, poetry, literature, science, and just hard-working good citizens. And of course, the sin of abortion, continuing on and on for decades, has certainly contributed to the sad state that our nation is in today. Sin has a way of affecting many, many things. It has tentacles that spread out in ways that we hardly think of. And that's why sin has a cost. Not just the forgiveness of sins, but to make up for the residue, the damage done. My grandpa was an engineer on the Grand Trunk Railroad in Michigan. and as a child I played on the tracks near the station. Funny thing, you'd be walking on the tracks, no train in sight. Suddenly, you'd feel a slight trembling or vibration in the rail under your feet. You knew she was a-comin', even though you couldn't see a sign of the steam locomotive yet, nor hear any of the whistle of the train. So, why show me a visual prophecy? You might say it's because I have skin in the game. They have all passed, but I am their descendant. Prophecy is like that. I could see no verification of the vision, though I kept looking down the track, waiting for the train to come into view. Well, suddenly the vibration, that trembling under my feet. Yeah. I know it's coming just like the train. Justice is coming for Joe Biden. Now, let's continue on, and I'll give you my take on what's going on with Joe Biden. So the first sign that the train was indeed coming, the first vibration was when Trump called Biden a criminal on Twitter, about a month before the November 3rd election. Now, my take is based on the vision and information from the military back channel that I call the key team. Again, certain words just can't be mentioned. Now, plus information from the key team current surrogates as they move the intel operation to a more public venue. Remember, Key would say, "We are the news now." Soon we won't have to go to our special place to get communications from the key team. They'll be out in the open. The vibration became a rumble on November 29th, 2020, when Biden fractured his foot playing with his dog and came out with a boot on. Where have we seen this before? John McCain, Hillary Clinton. Is this really an ankle bracelet monitor? As in, you're not going anywhere, Joe? Did they just put Joe on a leash? I don't believe the "I tripped over the dog" story. And believe me, I found a reporter who gave us a very detailed account. Apparently, Joe Biden was getting out of the shower. His dog dropped a ball by him, wanting to play. He grabbed the ball and chased after the dog. Right there, doesn't that sound phony? Can you imagine Joe Biden running? Anyway, he said he grabbed at his tail, and the dog skidded along on the rug, pulling the rug up into a bunch, and then he tripped over that. Yeah, it sounds like a tale and a half to me. Anyway, try to reenact that in your living room. Now let's see, where was I? Let's remember this. President Trump has already won this election. By November 13th, with the Frankfurt raid and subsequent examination over 10 days to 2 weeks, which produced the hard evidence of voter and election fraud needed for action to be taken. But remember, this action that's being taken is under the radar. Key would always tell us timing is everything. Optics matter. So the date that he is supposed to have fractured his foot, November 29th, approximately 2 weeks after we know they had the evidence and it had enough time to analyze it and secure it. Now, there is a large swath of the population that has been brainwashed by the mainstream media and by their propaganda. They must be awakened and pulled out of this fog of deceit, a real fog of deceit that prevents them from knowing the truth. They are victims. We're not talking about the haters. We're not talking about the Antifa, BLM people who are into violence. We are talking about those who really don't have a clue because they depend on the mainstream media to get their news, and they have blocked the truth. And if anything was done to Biden, they would consider that Trump was a dictator, a maniac, a maniacal dictator, who simply arrested Biden because he couldn't win any other way, and he knows Biden beat him. That would be the story that would go out. So what is going on then if Trump knows he's won? Why all these court cases and hearings and examinations of ballots and machines? Piles of evidence are being accumulated. My thought on the reasons is that, one, Trump wants an accurate count for himself. He's that kind of person. You know, you don't want the teacher to say, you passed the exam. You say, well, what did I get? What was my mark? Well, don't worry about it. You passed. Now I want to know, did I get an A? Did I get a B minus? He wants to know. He likes statistics and quoting them. I'm sure you've noticed. He also wants an accurate account for history. 3, it's to take future action to destroy entirely this system of voting for future elections for the security of the republic. We have no republic. We have no nation if a fraudulent system is used for our elections. We the people then have had all our power removed. And during his inaugural speech, Trump said, we are here to replace a corrupt and broken system and to return the power to the people. He knew all along that we only think we're electing certain people. Haven't you ever wondered, as an American, how some of the people that we've been seeing in the last 10, maybe 20 years, how do they get elected? Who elects those people? I think we're getting a good eye-opener, all of us. Also, Trump has a very important goal, as we have seen many times in the key team posts. He wants to unify the nation. And you do that with having one story, one narrative, not two. That's what splits us down the middle. The more that this is in the news, and we have time, we're not running out of time. Sooner or later, it's beginning to filter out. And more people are slowly waking up. Even if they may not like Trump, they've been so brainwashed into hating him, but they at least begin to realize that there was election fraud. And most people don't really like having anything stolen from them, and they can begin to understand. Now, Biden's dog story is so complicated, and it was what struck me also, is that in the key team posts back a couple years ago, when Key was telling us about No Name, John McCain, No Name, and there was a veteran who asked him, I hope when all of this comes down, you don't forget about McCain. And the Key team answered, remember this, every dog has his day. And indeed, when No Name passed, the next day was National Dog Day. So something about the Biden dog story reminded me of that post. There's a dog involved. There's the boot. The dog was a German Shepherd, often referred to as a police dog, and his name was Major, like a military member. Also, on December 18th, the Trump administration stopped intel briefings to the Biden transition team, using the Christmas holidays as an excuse. That's all right. We can use an excuse. They blame everything on COVID. December 27th, Biden was officially charged by the Ukraine with stealing billions of dollars from them. He's a major security risk. Yes, I believe that January 6th will be special, will be glorious. Trump is going to affirm his win. You see, he never conceded. He knew he won, and he claimed there was massive election fraud. He spent these last so many weeks gathering abundance of evidence for the history books and for the fact that he can prove about the fraud. If he discloses this on the 6th, now I don't know where he would do this because I'm not sure he's allowed in the Senate unless he's invited in. And I'm wondering who would invite him. Anyway, somehow he would like to get this information, which has never been heard by any court, so it is no matter of public record. But if he's allowed to give this in the Senate and present his case, it would be a matter of the congressional record. Stand for all to see, for all American history. So he wants to give specific election proof of election fraud. But he already knows he is wanted. It's just that once he gives this proof, he will claim it. That's the difference. He will claim it and make it a reality. Biden will never be allowed to be president or to set foot in the White House, and he knows this. We allow this game or this show to go on for the reasons I stated above. It wakes up more normies and low-info people. But the other side also plays the game because Biden has been neutralized. He will do as told when told. When T and the Patriots decide it is the right time, they will give him a concession speech. That's important. Because, as we have seen, every avenue, as we've gone up the ladder, every avenue has failed all the way to the Supreme Court. And now it rests on Vice President Pence. And he is a question mark. Boy, is he a question mark. But you see, it won't matter which way Pence swings, because there's going to be a concession speech. Patriots are in control. He will give his speeches told so all his supporters, who still not accepting the election was stolen, will have to lay down their objections and their weapons and capitulate. This will decrease riots, social unrest, burning, looting. Like I said, the Patriots are in control. Timing is everything to get the best good that they can get and obtain. Then Biden will go away, disappear. We'll hear that he passed away from something, but according to the vision, it will be an assisted death, sort of like McCain. What I don't know is, will he be turned over to the Ukraine for execution, or will we handle it on this side? Remember, they have all the wires, the money wires, the money that went from China to Biden, to Hunter Biden, and then from Hunter Biden, the 10% that the big guy got. We have all those records. That's proof of treason. Now, I don't know if he'll be turned over to the Ukraine or will we handle it. Will he be arrested publicly or privately and just disappear? Remember this statement from the key team. It said the first one to be arrested, I guess it would mean publicly because we would have to know about it, will shock the world. Makes me think, Biden? Well, there is the chance this could be done also on January 6th or immediately after. Anyway, Biden is going, and will soon be gone. Trump was never in jeopardy as far as the election of 2020. But the show must go on. The people need to see the corruption. You can't tell people some things. Key would tell us over and over, they need to see it. That's how they learn. They see with their own eyes. They'll believe it, regardless of what the mainstream media says. It's a slow process, but I recognize something is beginning to change. I've been a crusader against wearing the mask for months. No matter how many people I talk to, no matter which approach I use, guess how many people I've talked into stop wearing the mask? Zero. But I noticed after Christmas, I thought at first it was my imagination, but definitely not. Less people are wearing masks. Yay! So people need to see things. It is a slow process, but they are catching on. As the key team told us, they have to stand at the precipice to change. All right, thank you so much for your attention and hope that we'll see you again. Please like and please share or subscribe. Thank you.